The huge dump of files in the Jeffrey Epstein case have been shocking on a number of levels. You've got famous, wealthy, powerful people corresponding with someone who, in many cases, was a convicted sex offender at the time. In some of these emails, Epstein, who is known to have trafficked women and girls, invites friends to get-togethers with partygoers who he makes clear are many years their junior. And yet, while some of this has prompted embarrassment, distancing, in some cases resignations in the business world, there have not been a ton of clear-cut consequences for the Americans on the other end of these emails. In the UK, though, it is quickly becoming a different story. In fact, there is a non-zero chance this could threaten a royal family and a prime minister's political power. ABC's chief international correspondent James Longman joins us from London. James, we talked about sort of the US angle in a lot of these stories, but we're seeing huge impacts in the UK, right? Can you just walk me through it?
Absolutely. Every part of the British establishment. You have the head of state, the king, and the head of government, the prime minister, both under pressure for different reasons. Let's start with Andrew, the prince formerly known as. We've now seen this new tranche of Epstein files released, and it looks like that has sped up Andrew's banishment. He has been removed from Royal Lodge, this 30-room mansion he lived on the Windsor estate. We were told this would happen in early 2026, but it does feel, to me at least, that this has been moved forward because of this image which has circulated. It's been on every single newspaper here for days, of Andrew leaning over a young woman who is lying on the floor. Her identity has been redacted, but it feeds into this idea that Andrew was a predator of some description, was working alongside Epstein. The dirt, the stench of scandal, he just cannot escape it. The royal family are hoping that he goes and lives out in the countryside, away from the cameras. He's going to live on the king's private estate in Sandringham, which the palace is very keen to explain to us he is paying for. This is not public money. But look, there's real pressure now on Andrew to testify.
The UK Prime Minister calling for him to now testify before Congress.
The big question now for Charles, and he was literally asked this question this week, he was heckled. Can Charles force Andrew to do that?
This is the only way to make it clear to people that Andrew should not be let off.
This is incredibly uncomfortable. Also for Sarah, the former Duchess of York, the ex-wife of Andrew, but they lived together at Royal Lodge. She also has some uncomfortable reading in this latest tranche of emails. Specifically, it seems that she's kind of desperately asking Epstein for money. She suggests to him perhaps even that he could give her a job to organize his houses. She calls him her pillar, that he's something of a brother to her. She says that she's alone and traumatized. And so she too has now been ostracized. She has lost her own charity, which has been rolled up as a result of these latest revelations. So this is really tricky for the royal family. And Andrew might be tucked away in that farm in the countryside, but there's every chance that he'll be forced to testify, if not in person, then via Zoom.
Right, although, like you said, that pressure would have to come from his family. It's not like a legal requirement. But the people you're describing so far, James, these are people who had been corresponding with Epstein on some level, right? That's confirmed. It's not a given that it's an admission of guilt. It's not necessarily verified, but it is confirmed that they were going back and forth with him. Well, you also have pressure with the Prime Minister of the UK, who is not known to be corresponding with Epstein, and yet he's still having to answer for his actions anyway. Why?
Yeah, so we should be clear. Keir Starmer is not alleged to have done any wrongdoing. He hasn't been in touch with Jeffrey Epstein, but he appointed someone called Peter Mandelson to be the British ambassador to the United States.
I mean, there is yet more we can do in reducing tariffs and trade barriers so as to open up our markets to each other even more than we're agreeing to do today.
This is someone who's been on the political scene for years. He's credited with building the new Labour movement alongside Tony Blair. And Keir Starmer made him British ambassador to the US in 2024, thinking that he was the kind of person who was going to be able to do a deal with Donald Trump. Britain very much needs a trade deal with the United States. This guy, this political actor, Peter Mandelson, he was the guy to do it. Now it's emerged in this latest tranche of files that Peter Mandelson may have leaked sensitive market information to Jeffrey Epstein in 2009 when Mandelson was business secretary in the UK. He was part of the Labour government back then too. So British police are now investigating that. The idea that you had someone at the top of British politics who was using his position to not only enrich himself, but enrich a person who by that time had already been implicated for sex crimes with minors is political dynamite.
Mandelson betrayed our country, our parliament, and my party.
So Keir Starmer is being asked to explain what he knew and when before appointing Peter Mandelson.
He lied repeatedly to my team when asked about his relationship with Epstein before and during his tenure as ambassador.
He's apologised to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Mandelson has lost his title in the House of Lords. He's being forced to step back from that. And of course, he's facing these criminal charges. But it has left the Prime Minister exposed, fighting for his political life. There's not a suggestion he's going to quit today or tomorrow, but he was already very weak, Brad.
Wow, but wait, just to be clear, we're talking about actual resignation concerns, not just like, oh, it could be weekend.
Absolutely. Wow. Because his Labour Party, whilst they won a huge majority at the election, have basically been seen to be failing in government. He's gone from scandal to scandal, from U-turn to U-turn. There doesn't seem to be much vision, his critics would say. And the issue that he has is not just that his political opponents believe him to be weak. The issue might be that members of his own party start to ask for him to resign. And then he may not have any way back. It feels to most people watching this that we could be in the death throes of Keir Starmer's political career, and those inside the Labour Party may feel that this Epstein scandal has given them the ammunition they need to get rid of him.
All right, James Longman, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Brad.